what's going
What's
on? What's
happening?
going on, fellas?
Man, it's good to bring you on the show, Jamarcus. Shawn has been talking about you quite a bit, so I'm happy we was able to get you on here today. What y'all
Yeah,
got going on today? Y'all had a busy day, or y'all good, or?
man, I've been running around here like a chicken with his head cut off between the dog. We got people fixing the air conditioning. The market day itself. It's just been a beautiful day, real busy, but we here, man. We made it. So appreciate y'all for having me on the show. Y'all definitely doing a good thing.
What you got going on, Shawn?
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing here, Jamarcus. This is gonna be fun, man. But my day, Trey, is cool, man. The kids had testing. They did very good. I had promised a bunch of the kids, like if they hit they like end of the year goal, like end of 5th grade, I get them some McDonald's. So I owe a couple kids some McDonald's. But then some of them it grew at least 1 year. So I'm gonna bring you some donuts tomorrow. I gotta.
Oh,
They
They go.
do we get anything? I was like, donuts. They was like, yeah. I was like, all right, cool.
Hey, they're gonna be asleep like 15 minutes after they eat, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Just go to sleep. Now everything is over. Go to sleep. We good.
they gonna love you, Shawn. I remember, man. I remember when the teachers used to bring candy, like they bring candy and all that stuff, man. I used to love them teachers, man, because
Sir.
man, going to those classes early in the morning and studying for them tests, and it can be draining because that's pretty much all primary and secondary school was testing, man, testing,
Yeah.
testing, testing. So that's good to hear, man. The markets, it was a good day in the market today. We saw a rebound for sure. So I'm not gonna get my hopes up though. There's still a lot of volatility. Man, there's a lot of volatility, man. I checked that retirement account. I just look and keep it moving, man. I ain't gonna get too high. I ain't gonna get too low. Um, like I said, a lot of volatility, and a lot of these indices are still down 20+%. So, I think we're in a bear market territory right now. So I'm just gonna continue to follow the plan despite this bear market. Buy the dip and add on. It's good for people with a long time horizon. So that's what I'm gonna continue to do. But before we get started into the show, I just wanted to caveat here by saying I just want to say thank you for coming on, and before we get started, some of the things that we do on Bag Talk is me, Tommy, and Shawn, we talk about different things regarding finance, right? Like, so Tommy is more so about following a plan, consistency with loading up on stocks for his TSP. He talks about plan of action. Shawn talks mostly about budgeting. Shawn is a huge advocate for budgeting and just buying the dip, right? Just continue to add on dollar cost averaging no matter what. And a lot of things I like to talk about financial planning because I'm going into financial planning. So I'm looking at things from a perspective of how to be intentional and how to plan these things out so that you can get the outcomes that you're looking for. And when we start to talk about on the show today, obviously you have knowledge about technical analysis and other things regarding investments. So I think you'll be very valuable for our audience out here in terms of adding this new information in. So I just want to say that before we get started. And the first point I want to talk about is, how did your experience as a relationship banker influence how you looked at money? Because for me, it was going into finance, studying financial planning, which influenced my outlook on money. And I'm pretty sure Shawn can talk about his experience, and then we'll get to you, and we'll let you answer that.
Sure thing.
Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey for me, man. I read his book. I was like, yo, I'm about to follow these baby steps. Let me save my $1,000. Step 2, pay off the rest of your debt. I was like, dang, that came fast. But I went ahead, knocked it out, saved up the rest of my money, and I just made sure I budgeted so I can hit all of those goals. So that's pretty much it for me, though. What you got, Jamarcus?
Man, well, my time that was spent at Huntington Bank as a relationship banker, man, it just made me respect money, just respect the relationship with money. We had a lot of customers that would come in and really not know the terminology, or, when we were taking them through their, normal process. Honestly, just seeing some of the transactions that were made and even some of the balances, to be honest, it just made me want to not only push harder for this financial education, but also gain enough knowledge to be able to pass down, you know, if I ever have kids or my little cousins and things like that. So it's just more so just having that friendly relationship at the time with the customers and just trying to figure things out together. You know, one of the biggest things that I learned with my time spent there was just from the mortgage and, you know, the housing side, the credit apps and things of that nature, you know. So I really wasn't too big on, you know, learning about like how to boost your credit score and things of that nature, but it allowed me to really see the process up front when getting qualified for those type of avenues. And it's a lot to be learned, but it's a lot that, you know, you can use towards your knowledge to be able to grow, you know, for your family, for your legacy.
Yeah, I think that's powerful because oftentimes when you talk to a lot of people, there's a perception that social media and when you're moving around in these different spaces like the Instagrams and the YouTubes, you'll see like a lot of people talking financial literacy. And then I guess you can develop this preconceived notion that a lot of people are actually financially literate. But when you're out here talking to regular people outside in the real world, a lot of people are often, you know, they often don't know, you know, they don't know what DCA means, dollar cost averaging. Um, I was reading some the other day where some people still don't have a clue with how to operate their 401ks to a full extent, right? Like they just know to put the money in there, and then they have like different financial advisors to actually go about selecting doing the asset allocation for them. So it's definitely something that's often you know can be you know overlooked. You know, you think that everybody just know, hey, everybody know about financial literacy. I can just go up and have this conversation with these different people. And another point you touched on was the mortgages. That's very important too, because I think we'll be doing a show about this next week.
Cool.
But mortgages is another thing, and especially the time we're in today, where there's high interest rates. You got interest rates shooting up to 5%. Some people are just not going to be able to buy a home, you know, because that jump from 3 to 5% may be significant for certain households. And I think that's often overlooked as well when people say, oh, okay, well, I see the mortgage say 1,500, I can afford this. You may be able to afford the payments, but let's talk about, do you have an emergency fund to pay for if the roof get hail damage? You know, in Texas it hails a lot, so hail damage or tornadoes or will you have money to cover your bases if you lose your job and still be able to take some of that money and pay your mortgage? So that's very important, what you learned working as a relationship banker, learning about how all those things tie together along with credit, because credit is very important.
Yeah.
Since we were just talking about influences, who influenced you to start investing, bro?
Man, to be honest, it all pretty much started in 2019. I'm sorry, not 2019. When I graduated from TF North, man, my mom's friend, she basically gifted me a graduation stock, which is Procter & Gamble, nice consumer defensive. So, you know, my mom always told me, you know, since I got that stock, to wherever I was working, just make sure that you put $50 every check into the blah, 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 blah. But we really know how that went, right? You know, I just forgot about it. College, you know, you had the girls, you had the fraternity, you had a lot of other things that, you know, you was pretty much focused on. And that was my influence kicked in pretty much COVID. The brink of COVID, I was a teacher assistant at the time. We was working from home every day. And, you know, I just wanted to really find something to get into for me to be able to, you know, build up my status financially. So at the time I was pretty much working in the Forex realm, you know, trading. And I guess just one day I was in the bathroom, man, and I said, hey, let me go ahead and just check this account. I was fluffing through papers and took it to the bathroom and pretty much just put it in there. And I just found out what $50 could turn into, you know, and that pretty much just sparked me. It wasn't a whole lot of money, but it was just the fact that I didn't look at this account for years. and it was making me passive income without me even realizing it. So then it was just taking it to the next level. So, you know, one of my homegirls, she put me on Clubhouse, and I got connected with a few, you know, good, genuine people. And, you know, my boy Ty, he taught me a lot about Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. You know, I call myself Munger's son. You know, that's when I started getting into the 10Ks, and just the more so of the psychology aspect is what I learned more from Charlie Munger. Just believing in yourself, blocking out the noise, you know, not listening to the crowd, you know, and honestly, even Shawn. You know, me and him had a 2-hour conversation at one point when I was trading Forex, and we was just talking about the importance of, you know, the Roths, and just, like you said, dollar cost averaging over time, and just what it means to be investing versus just trading. Although both aren't bad, you just need to make sure that you're versatile if you're going to do things in this financial market, right? So that's pretty much what it was, man. Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. Shawn, I remember that talk. You know, your boy didn't know anything about options at the time either. I know we can get into that a little bit later, but I appreciate you for that conversation, and I appreciate you for teaching me a lot of these things. And I was just taking the ball and running with it like Mike. So that's pretty much, you know, my influences that got me going to the road that I'm on today.
Yeah, I appreciate you for sharing that, Jamarcus, because, you know, Jamarcus is another Panther, you know, like me and Tommy, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, back then we didn't know anything about investing, but now we are, you know, we have so much knowledge, and it's beautiful that we have enough knowledge to now share with other people. Shout out to Trey for also being here. Trey, what's your mascot?
Oh, dang, I forgot. Not a Panther.
You about to graduate soon, it don't even matter.
I forgot, man.
Well,
I'm sorry.
What college you go to?
I go to hold on real quick. I go to Texas A&M. I done forgot, man.
Did you Google what college you went to?
Wait. Texas, the Aggies?
Yeah,
Texas
Aggies,
A&M, the maroon and white?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was
Sully,
born in Texas, man. So you salute, man. Hope you know, I know you're killing it. Man.
Yeah.
That's crazy
Man.
that you ain't remember that, man. You gotta, especially you being you gotta remember all of that, man.
I forgot, man. Aggies, man. I can't let them Aggies see this, man. They gonna get on me, man. Because hey, we take it serious down here, man. Regarding football, and we take sports serious down here. We got a long history with the Longhorns, UT.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So
y'all the home of the 12th man, man.
That's right.
Favorite, man. So I used to play with Texas A&M a lot when when there was NCAA football games and stuff like that. So that's what's up. I ain't know that. Fun fact.
Yeah, man, from A&M. What was I about to say? Yeah, so that's pretty interesting because during the pandemic, that's when I got started in with investments as well. You know, I used to read in high school about like different investments in stocks like Apple, Microsoft, and bonds and CDs and all that good stuff, but I never had the capital. So during the pandemic as well, I agree with you. That's when I first started investing because I saw it as an opportunity. I remember like when I first started, like how you said you started with $50. I believe I put in $300 at first, and then I bought Ford stock. I bought a cannabis stock, which was a huge mistake because I got advice from my uncle. And yeah, I lost a lot of money on that, man.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the worst decisions I ever made, was buying that stock. And I learned the valuable lesson that to do your own research and to make sure you know what you're really getting yourself into, because oftentimes we have this thing called FOMO, fear of missing out. Yeah. And we always think we're trying to catch the next biggest thing coming. And then, you know, if you're not actually well versed on it, then it's pointless, because even if you get in, you may not know when to get out. While everybody else getting out, you think they may be delusional and you still holding on, right? So that was one of the things that I learned. And then I ended up buying like Ford stock, and then I bought Square. And I hit big on Square. I was able to get in at $50, and I got out somewhere near $250 or somewhere like that. But But see, that's what I'm saying. So I can relate to what you're saying, Jamarcus, because that was a perfect time. Like that was how I looked at it too. I'm like, man, I could start small, and then I started working my way up, and then I just added on like you did. I started looking more into a guy named Peter Lynch. I don't know if you know Peter Lynch.
I pretty yeah. I've been around the town, man. I'm sorry. Give me just 1 second. I'm sorry.
Okay. But you know Peter Lynch, right, Shawn? You ever watching videos?
I'm familiar with Peter Lynch. I think I watched a YouTube video on him, and I think he was also mentioned in Money Master the Game. That's how I know.
Oh, with Tony Robbins.
Yeah, and I think I even listened to an audiobook of his maybe a couple months ago.
Okay. Yeah, I got all 3 of his books. I think one is called Learn to Invest, one up on Wall Street.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Learn to Earn. Learn to Earn. I think it's called Learn to Earn. Yeah. And then one up on Wall Street. So that's what I was saying. Like, so I relate to your story, Jamarcus, because when I started branching out, and then it just like a compound effect, right? Just started understanding. You start reading a little bit more, and then it just went from there. But the pandemic was the time I got in too. It was kind of like a reset, like you said, evaluate things and start getting after it.
Yeah, most definitely, man. It was motivating to see just a lot of people in general, whether that was the stock market, whether that was just getting in better shape, whether that was learning how to cook. We on social media all day, and it just seemed like a lot of people was trying to take things to that next level. And, that was the extra piece of motivation there. So more kudos to you, good luck to your journey as well.
Appreciate you. And I know Shawn heavy into investing. So like you said, you and Shawn talk back and forth. I've been learning a lot from Shawn too. He keep talking about what is it, SNDL, right? When it comes to
yes, sir.
Yeah,
options.
that's how me and Jamarcus got started in cover calls.
Yeah.
Trading them options. That's something I don't actually do, man. I learned a little bit about options in school, but it kind of go over my head a little bit. Options and futures. Now, futures is very complicated. I don't know if y'all mess with future trading, but it's kind of, I don't really.
We ain't got to talk about that.
Yeah, we can save it for the next video.
yeah, because that's a whole nother thing. So as we branch off from talking about what introduced you or what got you into investing, I want to switch over into talking about technical analysis. Now, Shawn said you're familiar with technical analysis in terms of how to chart. So can you kind of tell us what is technical analysis? Break it down to where the audience can understand what it is and how it's used.
Okay. So I'm big on psychology, right? So basically technical analysis is just looking at the market from a candlestick basis. So that's what you would typically see when you see your red and green candles going up and down, your different indicators and things like that. But what I've come to realize within technical analysis is that within those candles, within those different time frames, it's a computer. It's like a digitalized makeup. So all of this information from the outside world, whether that's economic data, whether that's company earnings or financials, investor sentiment, actual volume. So from a physical retail investor or hedge fund perspective, all of those group of items within a candle, within a time frame. So when it comes to technical analysis, it's just learning the different cycles that the market is in on a larger time frame, like your monthly, your weeklies, go down to your dailies, and as you go down to like the minutes and, some people even have seconds, you just start to see that, when you're entering a position, whether bull or bear, it's important to look at things from a larger time frame perspective and, use those smaller time frames to be able to match those larger time frames to work on your entries and your exits the right way. So technical analysis is very important. It's a way that you can find support and resistance. It's a way that you can find a good margin of safety if you're, whether you're mixing fundamentals with that or not. I pretty much use it as a playbook, man. I mean, that's the best way that I can explain it. If you're good with your eyes, if you're good with noticing patterns, there's different chart patterns that you can get used to. I mean, I got to the point to where I would, write down like maybe 2 or 3 specific chart patterns that I like, and then I'll just try to master those trades. Now, I haven't mastered them yet, but the more comfortable that you get with a specific time frames, the more comfortable you get with pattern recognition and learning what volume is, learning what the different indicators that you want to play around with, it helps you create part of your system. Now, to take that a little bit further, when I first started trading, from 2019 basically all the way to maybe 2020, I was only focused on getting better at charting. I was going to consider myself a chart god and really wasn't. You know what I'm saying? And I just find that a lot of us technical analysis only people, we have an ego where we're not open to other things. When I started losing a losing streak in technical analysis, I didn't know why, because I felt like I was getting comfortable. I felt like I was noticing things that should be able to put me in profit more than 60% of the time. But once I started getting into that Charlie Munger phase and met up with my boy DeRon on Clubhouse and just started to learn the important factors of a worldview. So yes, technical analysis is important, but you also need to know what's going on in the macro and the micro sides of that stock, of that Forex pair, and even crypto, because it's about having a competitive advantage. So I'm going to work harder than you. Even though we want to make money together, I need to make sure that I'm beating the average retail investor, so that's the journey that I'm on now. And it's just a continuous, being a continuous student of life and continuous student of the market, man. So I hope that answered your question, man. But
Man,
yeah.
I like that. I want to follow up with something else. So for the average person, when you say support and resistance, what exactly does that mean?
Okay, so basically, when you're looking at a chart, let's just say, for example, we're looking at Apple, right? And I'm gonna try my best to put this in a word frame. And we're looking at like the 1 day or the weekly time frame, and you're looking between the months of January up until now. I can find resistance, meaning that if Apple was at 150, right? But like 3 to 4 times since January up until now, I've seen Apple go as high as maybe like 165 to 170, and it rejected every time that it hit that price zone. To me, that would be your resistance, because that's your roof. So the price tried to go through that roof, but the roof resisted it, the breakthrough. And every time that it, hit that roof, it came down, sometimes to support. So support is basically the same thing as resistance, but to the low side. And that's where your volume comes in at. So like if Apple went from that 150 down to like 140 to 145 range 3 to 4 times since January, that means that that's a good buying point for that specific time frame, and that your chances are higher versus getting in at the top at resistance. So it's just that relationship. It's very easy to locate. There's a ton of YouTube videos out here. There's a ton of, you can literally just type in support and resistance in Google and look up photos. I'm a big advocate of just finding your own knowledge and just, asking Google for everything until you figure things out. So, but yeah, but it's very important though. It's very important because, a lot of people may not understand, what a good price is, or you might have people that don't know how to, break down a company or create a story from a fundamental basis. So you can still use the support and resistance to at least save you a little bit from getting in at a higher price. Because the name of the game is what, Shawn? How cheap
How
you
low
get.
and so high.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely a good deal.
I wanted to jump in real quick and just give 𝗕𝗏𝗻 his flowers, because he's one of the reasons why I started respecting technical analysis. At first, I was nothing but fundamentals. Like all I wanted to do was read like the quarterly reports, the annual reports, listen to the calls. That's all I wanted to know. Like that's all I cared about. And
We
then
had some stubborn back and forth.
yeah, and then Marcus was like, bro, you need to learn some technicals. I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. That don't look like it's for me. So he kind of forced me to learn it a little bit. He was like, I'm gonna teach you the baby steps. He was like, okay, you see how the candle is green? I'm like, okay, yeah, it's green. I see it. I see the green candle. He was like, okay, let's say we looking at I don't know, a chart for a month. So I guess it'd be 30 candles or something like that, 31 to 30, something like that, candles, and every single candle represents a day. So he's like, if it's green, that means in that day it went from like the bottom to the top, right? And then he told me like the little stick thing was the wick, right? It's just like, I'm like, I get it. He was like, that's the lowest it was that day, and then the other one is the highest it is that day. I'm like, all right, I get it. Now with the red candle, it's the same thing. You start at one point and end at another. That's the candle, right? And then the wick at the top is the highest it's been, and the wick at the bottom is the lowest it's been. I'm like, all right, I'm good. He's like, no, I got to teach you volume. I'm like, no, bro, I'm good. It's easy. Volume is just the amount of trades it was that day on that security or that, on that stock. I said, all right, cool. So what you're telling me, Jamarcus, is I want to study the patterns of volume of every day. So if we see a lot of people trading it, then you want to kind of get in or whatever, or get out, because now we got liquidity. I'm like, all right, I get it. He's like, no, bro, let me teach you some more. I'm like, all right, what else? What else is it? So then he started teaching me the Fibonacci. And then that's what went over my head. And he was like, hey, bro, listen. I'm going to teach you the Fibonacci. I'm not saying you got to start using it, but I'm going to just show you how it works. So then he pulled out this little thing that expanded with like 0 to 100% or whatever. And then he was telling me like you got to go to a certain percent. I'm like, all right, cool. At least you taught me how to read it. I definitely don't feel like, sitting there charting, because he was taking hours doing that thing like every day.
Yeah, I'm a nerd.
But I want to also shout out Jamarcus, because he has one of the best charts I've ever seen. And I looked at charts in my life and I'm just like, I don't want to learn it. But when I look at Jamarcus charts, I'm like, yo, that's cold. Like,
so man, so let me get this straight. So support is where people enter, right? So that's when the lowest point that they enter, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Support.
So you can think of it like you got banks out here to trade as well. To be honest, they even borrow some of our money to use, to trade on their own. Basically, that's a little something that I learned in the bank as well. But it's like a lot of people use the AI technology. So like when a bank or when a hedge fund or a proprietary firm, trading firm, they'll wait till it get to its low price to where it's historically been. And they'll look, maybe have like a EMA indicator or, RSI, or some people use MACD or whatever. And they'll just wait till it gets to that point. They'll wait for that volume to kick in. And then that's just, that's something that they use to increase their chances. Now, obviously there's more to it, but yes, that's what support is. They wait till it gets to a level to where you see historically that it's tested that. And like Shawn mentioned, the wicks, look for those wicks within that, within that zone. And sooner or later you'll catch heat. Now you won't win every trade, but it's all about increasing your efficiency over time. Just like a long-term portfolio when it comes to trading, same thing. Just compounding, not looking for all the home runs all the time.
Powerful. Yeah, technical analysis is definitely something that I want to learn, and I think, with the environment that we're in now, with all this volatility, I've been hearing people like Downtown Josh Brown, who speaks on CNBC. He speaks on CNBC, and one of the things that he was talking about was that people who know technical analysis will make a killing right now, because they're able to use those skills, right? And to know, where is it going? Where should I get in? Where should I get out, right? Rather than those who are just operating based on fundamentals, because we're seeing companies. You have certain companies that are beating earnings and they're still getting hammered. Like Apple, right? Apple beat earnings last quarter. But, as we know, when it comes to investing, that's great. Earnings is very important. But the second half to that is guidance. So they talk about the guidance, whether they see the outlook in future quarters or for the rest of the year. And that can sometimes move the stock too as well. Because if you have the company that performs with an issue weaker guidance, that may trigger a sell-off. And so I think that's what some of the things that we were seeing in this market with all this volatility. You had companies that were beating earnings, still getting hammered, right? Getting hammered. The market was not valuing the fundamentals. They just weren't valuing the fundamentals because the fundamentals would say, well, I don't know why this company is trading this way, but despite its excellent earnings and so forth. So I definitely think that's where technical analysis can come into play in a market that we're in right now, the type of environment where that volatility is through the roof, especially since we're in a bear market.
And to add on to that, man, not to take up too much time, but you know, there's people who claim that technical analysis is the end all be all, and then you'll have your group of people that say fundamentals is the end all be all. But we just have to throw away the ego and just realize that it takes a bowl of soup, you know, to get full. So you mentioned Apple with, you know, there was a lot of companies that were missing earnings, even fundamentally in shape companies. But then to me, that's where the economic factor comes in. So you have like websites like investing.com to where you can follow the trends of, you know, the mortgage rates, trends of the pending home sales, because that's basically, I believe, about 16%. Correct me if I'm wrong out there, but about 16% of GDP growth, you know. And then you also get, you know, like your consumer sentiment, your consumer spending. You get the jobs report. So like a lot of those factors come into play as well, especially inflation itself and interest rates itself. So one of the main reasons why Apple, even though they're a fundamentally sound company, may not have that many sales in their iPads, from what I was reading from their recent current quarterly report, because people aren't really spending that much money because of the fact that they have to pay more for their mortgage. They're more worried about that than trying to buy things that they want and not need. And that's usually what comes into play in these type of situations, and why it's important to like invest in things that people need versus want. You know, so it's a lot that goes into it, but you made a great point there too.
That's that consumer staples right there. You're switching from consumer discretionary to the staples. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I want to touch into something now that's funny now. Shawn was telling me about this whole Forex thing. So I want you to kind of talk about Forex because, man, I tell you, even when I was in high school, I had some of my friends pushing Forex. I'm like, what the French toast is Forex? And all I would see on their stories was they got all the, like you said, technical analysis. That's what they were using. Now that I look back and think about it, that's what they were using. They were talking about how they was making all this money on Forex. And I'm just sitting here like flabbergasted. I'm like, what's going on, man? I don't understand this. And I was getting links and all this different stuff. I'm like, okay, now, should I really do this? Because, you know, get rich quick. You know, I was like, man, okay, maybe I can come up big. You know what I'm saying? I can roll into the university with a nice Benz or something like that if I go all in on Forex. So can you talk about that for a little bit for us?
Man, so I have a bittersweet journey when it comes to, well, Forex is just Forex itself, but then you have what you were referring to as well, where the multi-level marketing companies. I have a bittersweet relationship with that because, for one, it did introduce me to Forex itself and technical analysis, but at the same time, if I wanted to, I could have found that on the internet. One of the things about taking a product, again, that you can find or stumble into and monetizing it and getting people that need, quote unquote, need those opportunities to put more money into their pockets, it's a thin line with that. And one of the things that I didn't really agree with when I was in the MLM at the time, because that's how I got introduced again, was the fact that we shouldn't have to be asking people to put up so much money at the beginning of the registration process. We shouldn't have to be focused on swindling people to get them into a Zoom call and rushing through a Zoom call to make you feel good, but not telling you the whole story. Now, there's some people out there that may tell you the truth, There's some people out there that make you feel like you just coming in here to trade. But at the end of the day, my experience with it was just I felt like there was a lot of people that were being taken advantage of, especially knowing what I know now. So it's important to always do your own research because I didn't, and I was caught up in the loop as well. And it's also important to understand that there's other ways to be introduced to this type of stuff. But I am not a believer in paying people for knowledge. I understand that people got to hustle out here. I understand that people got to get it how they get it. But at the end of the day, the only true way that we'll basically suffice and grow as a people is to just share the knowledge, man. Because if we sell it, we shouldn't have to sell a product that already makes its own money. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And if you say that you got it like that, if you say that you're making all of this money, well, make your money and share the knowledge. So me and Shawn had that talk, and I had some things to think about. And, I wasn't feeling like myself when I was in that space. And, I got out of there. And honestly, that's what my true growth started, because I felt like I had a chip on my shoulder. I did feel like I had a point to prove. There were times where I was trying to chart and they wanted me to pick up a phone and call people instead. So I was there for knowledge and not marketing. Did I know what I was getting myself into to some degree? Yeah. But when I found out that the technical analysis part of that wasn't truly respected as the art that it really is, that's just, it wasn't motivating. It wasn't motivating anymore, So, right. I mean, I don't want to promote draft night too much, but that kind of motivated me to create the Draft Night Investing Discord. And I wasn't going to do that without Shawn. Shawn just told me to go scared, go do it, because I didn't feel like, and I still don't feel like I have the proper knowledge to show the way. But one of the reasons why people in this space, the little people that do respect me, is because I work hard every day to try to learn my knowledge and learn the different things that, I may not be comfortable with, and still share those same things with the people in the Discord, whether they read it or not, whether they, join the video call and we looking at different videos to boost our knowledge. So that's really what motivated me to do what I'm doing now. Was the chip on the shoulder due to that experience. But it's all love at the end of the day. We just got to believe in ourselves, man, and share and just share without a handout.
I agree. I'm rocking with that. So do you think MLM can be a scam? Do you think that people should entirely avoid MLM, or do you think they should just proceed with caution?
Proceed with caution. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a scam, because I know some good people that work within that space, and they do mean well. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a way to put some money in your pocket. But I would just say, just be careful. Ask all of the questions. Be very skeptical. There's good teams out there within the MLM space, and then there's teams that'll shade you behind your back. So I don't want to speak bad on MLMs in general, but I will tell you to believe in yourself, man. If they put that information in front of you for free, and I don't got to spend nothing, now I see in the chart now. I'm gonna keep it 100. I see in the chart now. I now know a little bit. Some of them talk about the Forex on the call. Like, okay, I'm gonna take that information, and instead of paying for it, because that's a lot of money to be paying to start up, I'm gonna try to see if I can structure that information myself, because a lot of people pay for structured information and not realize all of that information is literally on the internet. The internet is one of the greatest resources, greatest tools. But if all you got to do is learn how to structure the same way that we have syllabus in college, the same way we have syllabus in high school, if there's a way that you can structure it yourself, or just go about it in a free flow way, you'll be okay over time. Of course, you need your people to talk to, but the energies of the world help that out for you, because it helped with me. So I met a lot of good people as soon as I started really putting my head down in this journey. So, yeah.
I want to jump in real quick, Trey. When Jamarcus was talking, I was thinking about the last time I was on one of these Zoom calls or whatever, because they was like, do you want to teach financial literacy? And I'm like, yeah. So this is before YouTube and the podcast or whatever. I just want to spread my knowledge. So I came across this guy. He was super cool. Like we was talking about books that we should check out. So we was talking about Money Master the Game, 𝗏𝗏𝗏, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it was like towards the end, I was telling him like, yo, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't want to recruit. Like that's the one thing I don't want to do. I don't want to recruit. I just want to share my information and my knowledge. So I was like, hey, since we've been on this topic about, books, what's your favorite book? He said the Bible. I said, really? I didn't expect you to say that. I was like, why? He said, because Jesus was the best at MLMs. I was like, you're right. He was recruiting. So that was pretty funny. It was pretty cool. I was like, all right, man, I catch you around.
Yeah, man, you'll meet a lot of different characters within that space, man. Good and bad, But that's the vibe. That's funny. That's funny. Usually you waiting for one of those financial books or like a trading book or something like that, But it's interesting.
That's wild, man. I wasn't expecting that either, Shawn. I was not expecting that. But I want to kind of piggyback back to technical analysis. So I want to just ask you this: what resources would you recommend people looking into? Like, what are some of the videos or some of the YouTube channel or the content creators that you're subscribed to that has helped you along your journey in terms of learning about technical analysis?
Okay, well, and from a psychological aspect, there's Shawn, that's Sean, Etienne, Etienne, and he interviews a lot of professional like Forex traders and people who's doing it full time. So it's not necessarily technical analysis education, but it's more, a lot of them, from what I've seen, speak on technical analysis from a psychological standpoint. And he has a different range of videos. As far as technical analysis itself, I forget his name. I really did. Like, I would just type in like how to read. I mean, seriously, it's because it's all the same. Like, I would just type in how to read a candlestick pattern chart or anything relative to the space. And my biggest tip is to go to the videos that are most viewed. And then you might want to check those channels and see how the volume of their content, how often do they post? Do they have a decent following? Don't click on the ones that offer you classes and things of that nature, because there are good people out here. I will say Rayner. There's another guy that I like a little bit more, but there's this guy named Rayner, Rayner. He's an Asian guy, very funny, very thorough at the same time. And he touches on everything from support and resistance, candlestick reading, different patterns that you may think, that may work for you, different indicators that you may want to try out if you don't know too much about indicators. So yeah, Rayner and Shawn Etienne. And then, you got your Peter Lynch's and your Mark Douglas, just for the psychological aspect. So I'm big on just having a worldview, so just use as many resources as you can. But Rayner and Shawn Etienne are two pretty good ones to start with, so to speak.
Rayner and Shawn Etienne. And I may add something too. I think another good resource that people probably can look into is the Almanac, the stock market Almanac. I'll be right back.
You know what's funny about that, Shawn? I remember, I don't know if you remember Astrid that I met through Clubhouse in this space.
Mm-hmm.
She always has one of those stock market almanacs. And then I just started calling her Lady Almanac, because whenever I need her, like seriously, whenever I need some information, if there's like an options expiration week or we coming up on a holiday, she'll go whip it out and we'll just go back. Exactly. We'll go back and look at the different dates and what happened on those dates and, try to prepare.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's my first time seeing it. Hey, hold up.
That
Open it
joint
up. I
fire.
want to see it.
That joint
Almanac.
clean.
I
Joint
never
clean,
seen this
Shawn.
before.
So I can look at like I can look at like some of the best months for the S&P 500 or for the Dow Jones or the NASDAQ. You can kind of see historically like what months are best for each indice, and you can also see like what months are worse, along with days and months. And what the author of this book talks about is trading, right? Talks about like the traders, they can kind of take a look at this and kind of know like, okay, historically this happens on this day and this day, or this month or that month. They know, right? They're coming in armed with this information, so they can use this information for trading, and they can come out on top. You know, it's a higher chance for them to come out on top because they have this historical view of these indices and how they perform month to month or year to year. And Jamarcus is right too. It kind of talks about you know, expiration dates, how you tend to see a lot of volatility on a Friday. Like on a Friday, you might see a lot of volatility. And then come around Monday, the market may be down. It just depending on what month it is, right? So that's that almanac, man. That almanac is something serious, like May. So this is May 2022. I don't know if I can get in my camera. So if you go down to that Friday, it'll tell you that the expiration dates on that Friday for options. And it says that May expiration date, the Dow was up 14 out of the last 21 times when the expiration date was on a Friday in May, historically.
Yeah.
So that was something I was thinking about when he was talking about that technical analysis and that almanac.
Right. It's all about utilizing as many resources as you can to help your conviction at the end of the day, man. So I'll throw one more out there. There's this website called cftc.com, and that's you'll go to one of the tabs, and it's basically like the commissioner traders reports. I'm putting out some sauce now, you know what I'm saying? But we're talking about historical data. You can look at the different positions. So they pretty much have these sheets to where your banks, market makers, hedge funds, whales. So people who have like over 100,000 or 1 million in their account, they have to be reportable. And then you have your non-reportables, which is like your retail trader positions and things like that. Every Friday they release around 1 or 2 o'clock, and you could pretty much look to see their positions. And they usually release them Friday, but the date would be as of maybe that Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. And although I don't do this every week, I'm gonna start making a habit of just journalizing and going back to the technical analysis to see where these banks got in, where these hedge funds got in, and what their sentiment was. It could tell you like how many long positions they had, how many short positions they might have had, and you know how many spreads, which is like pretty much longs and shorts, like your covered positions and things of that nature. They have them for stocks, indexes, bonds, even interest rates. I don't know how you could trade those, but if I'm even wrong on that, but Forex, commodities, from coffee down to sugar, down to corn. And then you also have like metals, like literally anything that you can trade. These people have to report at the end of every Friday, and that's a good resource to utilize as well.
I got one. Since you just brought that up, I thought about the one that D-Ron showed us.
Yeah.
Bar chart.
Bar chart.
Bar chart. Yo, I love bar chart because it's literally everything Jamarcus told me, like taught me about technicals, but it's super easy to read. So like for instance, like they got the little checklist for everything that he's talking about. Right, here's that word Fibonacci somewhere over here. Fibonacci, right? He was talking about. Yeah. And then like when you scroll down, right, it'll tell you everything you need to know.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. It tells you pretty much everything you need to know about like the low points and things of that nature. Like for instance, my favorite part is where is it? The support. The second support, the third support. That's what I like to look at to know when I can get in.
I'm gonna have to check. I'm gonna have to check these resources out. I've been writing them down while y'all been talking because I've been talking to one of my good friends, Dre. Dre from the Bay. He talks a lot about technical analysis and all these terms like a death cross
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm pretty sure you know what that is, Jamarcus, a death
Yeah.
cross. So I'm just sitting here like, okay, what's going on? What is a death cross? You know what I'm saying? So he'll say all this stuff, and he talks about how important the technicals is. So now that we're doing this podcast here, I'm definitely gonna take a look at some of these resources that you guys was talking about. And I wanted to ask this second to last question before we end the podcast. What is draft night investing? I know you briefly touched on that a little bit, but can you explain to the audience what that is?
Yeah, so draft night investing is pretty much your the safe haven for traders and investors of all ages, all experience levels, and it's basically a platform to where we post different things from an educational perspective. So you can come in as a beginner and not really know too much and be able to use the Discord as a Google. It just has a lot of compact information. We work with anything from commodities, options, futures, crypto, and Forex. So, whether that's news articles, whether that's, graph comparisons, whether that's charts, pretty much everything, man. But I'm shifting. We have all of that, but I'm just making it a strong point to understand when you're coming in that you're going to learn something about economics. So most of the things that I share are more of a economic based field, to help you along your journey. But I mean, you could come in and just learn pretty much anything that you want. We have a lot of people there that are knowledgeable. Most of them, some of them that I do know in person, most of them that I met on Clubhouse, and it's just a resource. It's your own personal journal, just an open court, man. You just got to throw on your jersey and, take your journey, dribble up the court. We all had to practice walking one day. We started off crawling. So it's a space that's welcome for everybody, man, for free.
Okay, I like that, man, because I was just about to ask that, like, is there a paywall or do we got access to Patreon and then join the Discord, which you said was a free. And so anybody can join that. So I think after the show, I'd like you to just like maybe send an email me that link so that I can add that into the information once we upload this video to YouTube. So people who are curious and along myself, I can actually join into this Discord and see what you guys are talking about and try to add value to your lives along with me learning something along the way as well.
Well, do you like sports?
Oh yeah, man. I'm big on sports, man.
All right, so one of the things that we try to do here and there, we have a nice website that allows us to view certain things, and sometimes we'll go ahead and live stream an event like a boxing match here and there, or some type of good sporting event, just to kind of take the stress off. Or sometimes we even have movie nights, so we just try to make it not so much just learning and education a lot of time. Sometimes you just like to kick back and relax. Sometimes we'll just be in a Discord, have our music but you can be studying, you can just have the music on, or we could just be talking about how the day went and things of that nature. So just want people to feel welcome, man. But we also want genuine people too, so it's a protected space, but at the same time, we just want people in there that kind of match our morals and our outlooks and of where we want to be and who we want to be as we grow further down the road in our lives.
I like that. And so do y'all meet like twice or three times a week? Do y'all do these live streams, or do y'all just doing like spontaneously? Or
yeah, for the most part, it's spontaneously. I used to try to do the schedule thing, and honestly, I was probably doing a little too much at the time, or too often at the time. But it's spontaneous, man. I try to do what I can, and we do have some plans, down the road to make it more, efficient in the things that we do. But when we do get together, we do try to get together at least like once or twice a week. And it's not so much me talking online. I'm not one of those people to like sit down there and just talk all day and teach you. Like, we'll learn together because I'm still learning as well, So there's some things that I can teach, some things that I can show. But like I said, we're going to see how things go down the road, and that may change. But for right now, it's more of a group think, and brainstorm, because it should never be one person, it should never be one head at the table. You can contribute, and if you don't have anything to contribute with, you can learn. But I want everybody to feel welcome in this space.
I respect that. Like I said, before we end the show, I just want to say thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge about technical analysis. Like I said, as Bag Talk, we're looking to have different conversations. We're doing the Bag Talk series. Like I said, Shawn is a huge advocate for budgeting. Shout out to Dave Ramsey and the Dave Ramsey plan, budgeting every dollar. I think that's important. Tommy talks about consistently buying in to his TSP, and he also talks about having a plan of action. And I look at things from a financial planning perspective of having a plan and having a system in place, because that structure is very important. And so that's something that I look at in terms of talking about the bag. How can we get you to achieve goal X? What do we have to do to get that outcome? And so with that said, those are my final thoughts. I'm Trey.
I'm Shawn.
And I'm formerly 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗧. The market has humbled me. It's work.
Oh man, thank y'all guys for tuning in.
All right, much love, man. Keep doing what y'all doing. Thanks again for the opportunity.